The time is 5 minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the show. Hoping that you're well wherever you are this morning as we burn this midnight oil together. We're going to go into politics in a moment. There's a lot that always happens here at home. From the weekend to where you find us, never a dull moment, especially in the political space. And this morning, we're going to be looking at all of these bits by the uMkhonto weSizwe party leveled against President Cyril Ramaphosa. We go into the second hour with Dr. Sisman Mutlong. He's a political analyst from the Northwest University. Dr. Mutlong joining us this morning on the show to look at this challenge by the uMkhonto weSizwe party against President Cyril Ramaphosa. This is over the Ministry of Police. Remember, the president's placing the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, on leave of absence here. And that has really, not set well with certain politicians, certain political parties here. The uMkhonto weSizwe party just moving into the Constitutional Court, filing papers here, and the party challenging the appointment of an acting police minister. The party approaching the Constitutional Court on an urgent basis to have President Cyril Ramaphosa's decision overturned here. According to the MK party in their papers, there's no legal basis here. There's no provision here empowering President Cyril Ramaphosa to place a minister on a leave of absence, even going to a point of saying that this then is tantamount to somewhat of a fancy phrase for suspension with pay, which is where then they take issue with all of these developments by the president. They've approached the courts, they want that reversed. They also, more or less are moving into just removing the appointment of Professor Firoz Kachalia into that space. It's a race against time because his, tenure would then start on the 1st of August 2025. The lines are open. I want us to go into the political space. It's a safe space as well. So let's go into various of these issues as we mark it together on 0861 987 000. There on social media, you find us on X on @PowerFM987 @Katlego Legodi _ Dr. Mutlong, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Katlego, and greetings to the listeners. Good to be with you again.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us your time this morning. There's a lot that happens in the political space. We are a country on the move here, but also various of these political parties taking up opportunities as much as they can to make their voices and solidify their space within this political space. This would be the uMkhonto weSizwe party. We saw them at some point even going and approaching Parliament over a motion of no confidence into the very same President Cyril Ramaphosa on his handling of certain matters, including this one of the police ministry. Maybe let's take it back. Let's backtrack a bit, to say, really, according to you, what went through your mind when you saw that press briefing by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and your expectations of what was to follow here? Because when all of those issues played themselves out, remember, the president was not in the country, and a lot of people were looking at, what is he going to do? How is he going to act? And a lot of people, even going to a point on social media of calling the police minister as Gabenga, saying that the president must come and clean the house. We saw the president coming through and placing then the minister of police on leave of absence here. That is what then sparked it all, with a lot of these political parties not happy about how he moved. At the same time, we saw him coming through to then appoint Professor Firoz Kachalia outside of his cabinet to come through and be the police minister, when that particular ministry has two deputies, and a lot of politicians also not happy with how he moved there. Looking at how it all started and how it played itself out, what would have been your expectations on the end of the president?
Yeah, I think when the General Mkhwanazi made the presentation, I think it was a week before that or so. It was when President Thabo Mbeki was supposed to speak at our university, at the Potchefstroom campus, amassing support for the national dialogue. And I think he couldn't make it there. And then uh, the people who spoke on his behalf, and it, being there was a big impression that I get from understanding in terms of what was spoken there and how they summarized the significance of a national dialogue. And afterward, when we're talking with some fellows, we got this sense, and I also was so convinced of it. There could be something that we are not told as the public, maybe from the national government, that they understand that South Africa is going to a trajectory of a disorder, some sort of chaos, some sort of civil war or a coup, an impending coup. And this call for a dialogue is kind of a preemptive intervention to dilute the tensions, to, a step ahead to say, okay, you vented, guys, we had you, and these are the resolutions. So that was uh, that. A week later, then General uMkhonto is speaking, and here come in camouflage, and the optics are like typical when a certain somebody comes and say, from today, I'm taking over control. We are taking over control of the state as I'm speaking. So several MPs or elite politicians are being under arrest, are placed under arrest for corruption and whatever. Theoretically, when a coup happens, there would be these reasons on economic failure, corruption, and maladministration, socioeconomic demise, and so forth. And this is happening. President Ramaphosa is not in the country. Another red flag that whenever a coup happens, the president, the opportune moment is when the president is outside the country. We just get the message, okay, don't come back home, or just know when you are coming back, you're no longer president, and so forth. So, and many people were looking at it through that, maybe say, hey, this smells, oh, seems like a coup and all that. And expectation, I was thinking Mr. Ramaphosa will rush back home and attend to this thing. Obviously, typical of him, take his time. We'll see to it. Making several calls and so forth. So he comes back and takes time, a good 4 or 5 days, I think, that he is intervening, maybe communicating, okay, there was the former deputy president funeral as well, maybe respecting that. So for me, it was an expectation that he should move faster. And then when he meets, it is somebody who would say, Mr. uMkhonto is frustrated. That's another impression of he cannot go on public and talk like that if he did not, in a way, exhaust internal processes. Then our president comes and say, I was not aware. The gentleman is so frustrated, but we're going to do something. So it also shows a president who's very relaxed. I don't know, you relax because in terms of political culture, we are not prone to a coup, or we respect law processes or the rule of law, and you respect, you are confident in the stability of our institutions, that something this drastic of a coup will not happen in South Africa. Maybe that's the confidence he has as well. That makes him relaxed to that extent. So looking at it in a way, you wanted to think he should act with urgency, responding to this. And then when we talk about Minister uMkhonto, to fire him, because these are big allegations that are being put in. State security, sovereignty is being threatened, allegations of this being threatened. And you come and say you put in this person on suspension was another wow. I honestly was thinking, no, get rid of him and ask for whatever evidence Mr. uMkhonto has, and have a task team from law enforcement and to investigate these things further and then prosecute, go a path of prosecution. And those dockets that Mr. uMkhonto says have been taken, send them back or let there be action on them. And I talked to him further to understand what it is that they have and uproot these elements of corruption in our system. But he went the opposite way.
Yeah.
So
and he had days, in terms of how he could have applied his mind, because a lot of people were saying that, at this point in time or at that point in time, he could have used that opportunity to consult and get legal of some sort opinions in terms of how he moves in this manner. When you look at how then he came back to make that announcement, I remember at that family meeting, there were anticipations with a lot of people saying that, oh, maybe he's going to do somewhat of a cabinet reshuffle. There's an opportunity for him to show up, looking at all of these issues that have been, playing themselves out under his presidency in this administration. But we saw a lot of people disappointed to say that becomes somewhat of a missed opportunity. And when he then announced that, the Minister of Police is going to be placed on special leave, a lot of people saying that that would have been a missed opportunity, to a point whereby we see political parties now taking up this as an opportunity to challenge the president, even in the courts, to say that, oh, maybe he could have erred here because of that particular move to place the minister on special leave. When you interpret it, would you say that he was caught between the politics of the day in terms of the camaraderie that would play itself out within the ANC and just being the president of the country, looking at a whole lot of these issues that would play themselves out? Also, what room did he have? Because these were allegations at the end of the day. They still needed to be tested. So how does he move in that particular regard? Because none of these people have been found guilty, and he can't then move to say that uMkhonto, you're fired, because he doesn't have it on good authority that indeed uMkhonto is tainted.
No, for a person at his position, should be privy to a lot of things. And first of all, you can't expect General uMkhonto to make unfounded allegations. That will be highly irresponsible of him. And there are some elements in Mr. uMkhonto's speech that's shown there is some evidence. There are these dockets that he's talking about. And then surface reports or videos that Mr. uMkhonto denied knowing some people in Parliament. Later, there's a change of tune. All that shows a contradiction in Mr. uMkhonto. So for me, that was enough to say, hey, stand aside completely and deal with these things. And these things should be tested in court. We're not saying subvert a rule of law or justice processes as if you are responding to popular demand, as in you're appeasing in some populist manner. But you say, let the proper procedures be implemented. And him doing what he did, yes, now opens that space of thinking, or could he have thought, or if I act harshly on him, will this taint the future transition, your leadership in the ANC? As in, will there be bad blood? And then if I wanted Katlego maybe to succeed me, he won't have support from that faction. We can go into speculating about that. Extended to that, ANC in the few past years has been on this ticket of uprooting corruption. If you remember, I think was Mavuso Msima who was complaining, or there's no corruption, and then was told, okay, no, we'll do something about it. Integrity committees in the NC were said to be working hard on checking some of the members. ANC has always been saying it wants to do something, and this was an opportunity for them to, in a way, say we have prima facie evidence that something here is off, and because of that, we let you to step aside, and this is what we can think is protection. That Mr. Ramaphosa did not opt for this process of letting law enforcement do its work, because Mr. Mkhunu would have been in court, and that would allow the ball to roll in terms of step aside and so forth. So this delaying tactic, I don't know what purpose it will serve in the long run, because should there be evidence from these commissions or some processes in Parliament, then Mr. Mkhunu has to be accountable. I feel there is some evidence. It cannot be that Mr. Mkhwana makes the allegations unfounded. So for me, then it goes into that space that it seems to be somebody who wants to now ensure stability in the politics of the ANC over South Africa's interest. A big issue. Mr. Mkhwana speaks about the cartels, drug cartels in Mexico and so forth. And if you go to Mexico and see how strong these drug cartels are in undermining state sovereignty, state security, it's bad. And you can't allow those elements to take root here. That's why I feel if he says there are international cartels, you want to really cut that tide before it strengthens or gains momentum in the country. So that's why I thought maybe intelligence and law enforcement should have been an approach to follow through those cases and see who else maybe who were not identified maybe could be found to be complicit in these things, instead of this long way of a commission.
Yeah, that's another one. But also would like to hear your thoughts if you're listening to us this morning and you want to weigh in on what we're discussing with Dr. Sisman Mutloung, the politics of the day. You find us live on 0861 987 000 as we try to dissect some of these issues that are very, very important, national importance. And we see then this move being challenged. You know, is there any case here, Dr. Mutloung, against the president? We see the uMkhonto weSizwe party moving into the Constitutional Court saying there's something untoward here. Was the president well within his right, and the Constitution allows him that he can move and appoint then a minister outside his cabinet in this particular regard, in a way that he appointed Dr. Feroz Kachalia? At the same time, what do you make then of this case that they're making around placing the sitting current minister on leave of absence, saying there's somewhat of no provision in this regard? Hence, they've approached the court on an urgent basis. Is there a case here?
If there's no precedence to these things, I think we are now extending. It's an opportunity to stretch our legal interpretations. And I think typical of Mr. Zuma, because it's presented as Zuma's taking this or MK is Zuma. Mr. Zuma has always invited us to uncharted terrains in terms of constitutional interpretations. And this is another thing in him going to speak on what a president should have done or could have done, and what does the Constitutional Court say about it. If he fails, but that is a clarifying for future sake what could have been. So I think if we say there could be a reason, it's because of that. We are used to saying you appoint and maybe disappoint as a prerogative of the president, but to leave a minister hanging and given this kind of a scandal, it's a big thing. Maybe for president's defense, would say, yeah, but this person is not before court. If you remember, I think President Mbeki, when he fired President Zuma, then deputy, it was because of the arms deal. So I think by then Mr. Zuma was in court, not as allegations. So maybe he can say these were allegations, is not anything in court. So
Let the
that's why
commission give us a sense of
yes,
how we move.
yes, and we say this is he, Mr. Ramaphosa, playing smart here and trying to shield Mr. Mkhunu because of whatever affinity they have. Like I'm saying, already, is it for internal politics? Is it for succession? Or, as others are thinking now, maybe Ramaphosa himself is implicated. So, but it's also interesting. If he knows he's implicated, why would he call for a commission of inquiry? And if he calls for a commission of inquiry, knowing that these things will come for him, maybe it's technically knowing that certain things will be said and certain things will not be revealed, and then that's an easy way to go about it. You can really deal with that pressure than facing the heat in the court of law. Maybe that's an easy way about it. But to defend himself, he could say, but this is what I actioned instead, and the rationale is based on that. Then the Constitutional Court will now clarify then. But this the gravity of the matter make it reasonable that you should not suspend per se, but fire the person. You remove them from cabinet altogether. So I think what I'm appreciating here is that opportunity that there will be better clarity on what the law should be, and then we could see from there as the case will unfold.
Yeah, it will be precedent setting as well, as you said here, because of the fact that we had not found ourselves here before as a country, and some of these issues then will move on an ad hoc as we try to get a sense of how then they impact the greater national governance. But we see the uMkhonto weSizwe party approaching the courts on an urgent basis here, saying that this judicial intervention should be urgent. One of the things that they're citing here is that the president's actions would be unconstitutional, they would be irrational, they would be tainted by political bias, even going to a point of saying this decision to place the minister on leave of absence is irrational and ultra vires. So this will tell you that they're looking at ensuring that at least there's clarity for even the future where some of these issues are concerned. But what do you make of some of the cases that were made? Because the uMkhonto weSizwe party is not the only one. We saw the EFF as well. The EFF going to a point of saying, then why do we have two deputy ministers in this regard? Could it be that maybe the reason why he didn't elevate one of them is that he reckons that they could also be implicated or tainted looking at some of these developments, or he was just acting using his powers and he doesn't have that much of confidence in this too, in leading that particular ministry to greater heights? He went to appoint Professor Firoz Kachalia.
Yeah, I think from other cases or reasons that are presented in challenging him are presented to say the kind of a decision should be based on sound reason. And if there is a suspicion that this is unsound, then it should be changed. And this is where we have the benefit of a judicial review. Like I said earlier, the democratic institutions exist there as checks and balances, and maybe this is where they can prevent the pressures from exploding in civil society, for example, when there is a coup. So the judicial review would overturn any decision from the executive that is found to be unreasonable or unconstitutional in that sense. So to say why you did not appoint from your deputies, like fire the minister altogether and bring others, by saying, is it because you you think they are implicated. We are in that era of speculation because there is no opportunity presented through a proper a judicial process of a court now, not a judicial commission of inquiry, where there should be a criminal process whereby if there's evidence linking to these people would be presented. It will also be a very dishonest of the president if he knows some of his people in the executive as deputies are implicated in criminality and he retains them. That's what would show or maybe vindicate General uMkhonto that the executive is implicated in this thing. It's even worse when it's the judiciary as well. So anyone can be anyone. We cannot trust anyone now, except when there is a process of investigation and there is concrete evidence that can be put up. So a president can say this is speculation. They don't know. There's no evidence that these people are implicated unless in that process they will bring some evidence. So that will be an issue of contestation.
Yeah, I want us to wrap it up, Dr. Mutlong, by just looking at this commission of inquiry. We saw the announcement as well, the first briefing in the day that was by the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into corruption within the criminal justice system. And one wonders as to how complicated does it become for Justice Madlanga to move and do his work, looking at the implications of some of these institutions. I mean, he spoke of the judiciary, the NPA as well, and the executive. So you just get a sense of then the complexities and how deep then this particular issue becomes. When you look at it, at some point we do have timelines, 3 months, 6 months. Do you think that it's practical for him to really give us a sense of the veracity of some of these issues in this particular timeline, or we could see this stretching all the way into a year and beyond? How confident are you in this particular process in helping us get to the bottom of some of these allegations?
Yeah, on that part there, Prof. Kashalia, quickly, I don't have much to say except to think of by going to somebody who's not active in politics per se, who seems like that. He is bringing what is thing now, and I don't impartial, is bringing impartial somebody to take over the department, and he wants us to think, this is credible, but we know there's really no impartial thing per se, because these people even in academia are aligned with political parties. So he's bring somebody who's from a heritage of ANC, deeply in ANC, and you hear him how he spoke in the media about it. Is somebody who already comes with a certain mindset. So I think that shows the person having a particular ideological stance instead of choosing maybe a practicing police, or I don't know. But I think he does that just for I guess like rebone as if something impartial. Moving, but I don't think that was wise. Commission, we don't know. We're saying move speedily to resolve this thing, but you just don't know what you will uncover and how much you will uncover and what it would mean when people have to testify. We don't even know the kind of issues that will happen at the venue, SCOM, load shedding and anything else, or witnesses being killed and stuff. We just don't know what will happen. With the State Capture Commission, we had those deadlines, but now and again there was a request for extra time, and it went long. So hopefully this is again what the president wants us to see. This is something urgent you want to do, but you can't expedite an investigation. If you are to find evidence and you have to follow that evidence, you don't know where you would want to ask for records, and then those records are not allowed to be opened and so forth. So we just don't know what this team is going to confront. We just hope that this is what will happen. But based on previous experiences, we've seen it's unlikely that commissions of inquiry do and finish their work in a time that is given to them.
It does become a waiting game, so let's wait it out. I mean, at this point in time, we don't have any choice but to wait it out. But I guess interesting would be the developments coming out of the courts, because they too would give us a sense of whether it's back to the drawing board for President Cyril Ramaphosa, or how then do we approach this one, looking at the fact that the 1st of August is now, and we'll be expecting to see certain changes within the police ministry as per all of those revelations and the decisions of the president. Dr. Mutloung, I want us to leave it here for this morning. Really appreciative of you coming through and giving us your time. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Let's touch base soon.
Keep well, sir.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sisman Mutloung coming through as a political analyst and a lecturer at the Northwest University, helping us make sense of these politics, right? The developments in the political space. It does also become a race against time for President Cyril Ramaphosa. He has until Monday to file answering papers in the uMkhonto weSizwe Party's challenge over the appointment of the acting police minister, and all of these developments around placing the current minister on special leave. So all of these issues, they're saying urgent, which is why we see them approaching the Court on an urgent basis. I want us to break a bit. When we come back, we continue with the politics of the day, but this time around, just look at the global politics. And here we'll be joined by a political analyst and international relations expert, Musa Mdunge.